I could use a centering prayer. Therefore, the whole group is having one. As we lean into this holy moment, I invite each of us to come to our heart space. And from there, reach out to those around you. We have folks in our spiritual community who are experiencing extraordinary challenges right now on all kinds of levels. And as I pray with people, I am struck by the power and the force of spiritual community. Wherever two or more are gathered, there I am. And so, as we energetically reach out to those around us, to our loved ones, to the folks known and unknown, who are just not quite sure how to navigate the next step. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that Spirit is in the midst. And let us know that we know that we know. We are never alone. We are infinitely enfolded, uplifted, carried by the divine love from which we came. Always giving thanks, and so it is. So, today we're going to continue our spiritual trek on the concept of balance. And I see that we got a couple of copies of this in that are available for you. So I encourage you to take a look at it. The book is called Living in Balance. It's a dynamic approach for creating harmony and wholeness in a chaotic world. So as we're beginning today, I want to begin with replaying one of our physical balance exercises from a couple of weeks ago. So I invite you to stand as you're willing and able. It's the standing in balance. And so we gently plant, I'm going to stand sideways. So we gently plant our feet about shoulder width apart. Place one hand on your lower abdomen and another hand on your lower spine, and tuck that pelvis under, bringing the stomach to the spine, lifting those shoulders, and breathe. And release. Tucking that lower spine, the stomach comes to the spine, the shoulders are gently up and back, standing in balance. And we can use this exercise hundreds of times a day. Feel free to sit. It's a conscious activity that brings us back in touch with the now moment. And it's an exercise that helps us align mind, body, spirit. Our chapter today is entitled Mindfulness, the Gateway to Balance. You've probably noticed that mindfulness comes up in a fair amount of my messages. It's a vital spiritual practice that brings us again and again to the now moment. And my favorite teacher of mindfulness is Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh. I began to study his stuff, I don't remember when, many years ago. Mindfulness is an extremely broad topic, and it's one that's not complicated, yet it can have quite a profound impact on our lives. Research scientists at Harvard Medical School and many other prestigious centers are proving what contemplatives have known for eons. I think this is the quote that we put in the e-news article this week. Although the benefits of effective stress reduction can be tasted almost immediately when one begins to live more mindfully, mindfulness, taken deeply enough, creates a profound state of inner balance that does more than reduce the harmful effects of stress in the body and mind. Mindfulness, taken deeply enough, creates a profound state of inner balance that does more than reduce the harmful effects of stress in the body and mind. At its deepest level, mindfulness ripens into the qualities of appreciation, love, and compassion. Appreciation, love, and compassion. Who among us wouldn't be welcoming more and more of these spiritual qualities in our lives? And the magical, mystical mystery of mindfulness is that it gives us a still point to which we can turn in the face of any chaos, any chaos. It's a momentary practice. We pause ourselves. The world around us does not have to stop. Newsflash, it will not. The people around us don't have to stop being who they are, doing what they're doing. We pause ourselves. We draw a complete breath, and we come to our center. Many of us may have a word, a prayer, a mantra that we come to when we use this practice. Some of us, probably most of us, are familiar at some point in our lives living mindlessly. Anybody? Anybody have a mindless moment, week, decade? When we are living, here's the thing, when we are living mindlessly, just like out of touch, out of alignment, the truth is that we manage next to nothing of what's going on in our lives. Can you feel that? Because when we're untethered, in a state of mindlessness, all we can see is the chaos. Our mindless habits puts us in the boat of wondering, how is this bad stuff always happening to me? How is this bad stuff always happening to me? Now, that's a very common phrase. Someone did that to me. This happened to me. In Unity, we would say, life doesn't happen to me, life happens through me. And my spiritual mentor would say, life happens, period, honey. From this type of consciousness, mindlessly, we're in a victim state. How is this bad stuff always happening to me? And when we're in that kind of a place, we're constantly reacting to what's coming up, whatever the next hot burner is, whatever the next fire is, whoever's the squeakiest wheel that's acting out in the greatest degree gets our full attention. So we're reacting to what life brings rather than responding from a place of balance. Can we picture ourselves in a tiny boat in a vast ocean? No land in sight, no bearings. And sometimes we have smooth sailing. Man, the breezes are just right, the temperature's just right, all is well. And sometimes we have some choppy waters, kind of gets our attention. I just thought of my seasick daughter-in-law. That would really get her attention. And then other times we find out that our boat is completely upside down. And we're flailing, gasping, wondering, how did that happen? And that's how it feels when we're living life mindlessly. Are you ready for some good news? We truly do have within us every single thing, idea, thought that we need to shift to mindful living. Does anyone believe that? That we have within us anything and everything that it takes to shift to mindful living. The authors list a myriad of benefits to living mindfully. It's a lovely list. How about improved focus, concentration, and precision? Enhanced quality of communication and relationships. Heightened clarity of thinking and intentions. Improved efficiency and safety. Greater peace of mind and sense of flow. Mastery of stress. Insight and enhanced intuitive wisdom. More authenticity, heart, soul, and caring in our life work. Change resilience. Greater confidence, faith, and inner strength. Do any of these qualities interest you? Don't they sound delicious? And the thing is, these are all God qualities. They're all God qualities that exist in us and as us. And as we align with this divine mind, with the divine presence, with divine love, with divine harmony, as we align mind, body, spirit, we are manifesting these benefits. So we have the wherewithal to bring any one of these things to life, or all of these qualities to life. You know, there are, excuse me. There are numerous apps available to us on our smartphones for mindfulness. I suggest that you go to Google Play Store and search mindfulness to experiment with a few. My favorite one so far is the bell. The mindfulness bell. You download it on your phone. You set up the parameters, what hours of the day, start and stop hours that you want, the frequency that you want to hear the bell. This bell rings periodically, and when I hear it, I pause myself and draw 3 complete breaths. It's an exterior reminder that very gently brings us back from flailing with our little boat in the ocean to, oh, that's right, let's just have a breath. So how do we put mindfulness into action? There's an old Zen teaching story that speaks to this. The master is asked by his student, how do you put enlightenment into action? How do you practice it in everyday life? I put enlightenment into action, said the master, by eating and sleeping. But everyone sleeps and everyone eats, replied the student. Quite so, said the master, but it is a very rare person who really eats when they eat and sleeps when they sleep. How do we put mindfulness into action? Anybody ever practiced mindful eating? Yeah, it's really interesting. And it can very quickly become just part of our routine and part of the way that we eat. The authors note that the first step to living in balance is to begin to notice where our minds are. Where was your mind just now? Was it on something that happened before you got here? Was it on something that happened after you got here? Conversation, prayer? Is it what's going to be happening at 11:15 or 1:15 or what's happening at work tomorrow? Where's our mind? Because only when we notice where our minds are do we gain any dominion to redirect our thoughts to higher consciousness. That's why I use the mindfulness bell as a focus to breathe. A complete breath. Invite you to place your hand on your stomach. When I was having cranial sacral therapy during my brain therapy a few weeks ago, the therapist remarked afterwards, "Do you practice meditation or yoga?" And I said, yes and yes. And she said, not many people breathe the way you breathe. A complete breath actually comes from the core of our abdomen, the bottom of our stomach. So it doesn't come from, my grandchildren know when the bell goes off, they know that we all stop and take a breath. And at first it was the, but now we've learned, no, it's simply just take a breath. So if you have your hand on your abdomen and you draw a breath, you should be able to feel your stomach rise. I know I am breathing in. I know I am breathing out. I smile to my in-breath. I smile to my out-breath. I am arriving. I am home. 3 complete breaths brings us to this now moment. So we're not necessarily forcing the breath or manipulating the breath. We're being with the breath, and we're using it consciously. How is it that awareness of our breath is a gateway to balance? It's an interesting thing. How is that the gateway to our balance? We are being breathed. I believe that the activity of our breath is actually the activity of spirit moving in us. The heartbeat of the universe, the rhythm of God. And I've mentioned this before. Have you noticed that we don't have to be conscious about our breath? I can go, well, actually for a fair period of time, I can go without eating, and then it's like, oh, did I eat anything today? But I don't ever go without breathing, because that's being taken care of for me. However, teaching ourselves to breathe consciously is a golden key to balance. Because when we consciously inhale from the bottom of our stomach, rather than pulling our shoulders up and breathing from up here, we are sending more oxygen to circulate throughout our bodies. And we are literally giving ourselves life-nourishing, deep quantities of life nourishment. And a practice of mindful breathing teaches us to balance in the center, that mystical place where our conscious and unconscious minds meet. That's what the breath holds, that mystical, holy point. And let us remember, as we start to work with the practice of mindful breathing, that it's a spiritual practice. It's not a militaristic command that we have to force. So whatever reminder you choose, if you choose an app, whatever, a sticky note somewhere, whatever reminder that you choose periodically throughout the day to bring yourself to mindfulness, we practice it momentarily. In this moment, we're not concerning ourselves with living the entire rest of the day mindfully, okay? As far as I know, in the human experience, that's challenging, difficult, impossible. Choose your check mark. So we're not concerning ourselves with tackling the whole day mindfully. All we have is right here, right now. So one more thought on this point. Do you notice that when we inhale, there is a pause before we exhale? Or that we pause before we inhale again? I think this is a great metaphysical experience. I think it's the universe, it's life teaching us that there must be pauses in any and all activity. Do we not find wisdom and balance when we pause between tasks? Consciously building these spaces into our day repeatedly calls us into balance. And it's a practice that my spiritual mentor commanded me to incorporate into my life. And just living that way over the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I forget, I feel so much better. I feel so much more balanced. I'm beyond the point of gulping in life and gulping in air, trying to keep up. That's not mine to do anymore. So these pauses that we take, entirely up to us, whatever works for us. It might be the now moment. It might be the complete breath. It might be a 5-minute meditation. It might be a 10-minute walk. I have a minister friend who can do these amazing little 10-minute power naps. And then she's like up and good and ready to go. So find a pause that is effective for you, because the more that we allow ourselves to consciously pause, the more we are allowing ourselves to align with the ease and the flow and the grace of life. You know, I think we can liken this to closing out documents or web pages on our computers as we go throughout the day. I mean, think about it. If throughout the day you were leaving open every single document that you got your mitts on, every single web page that you had your mitts on, have you noticed what happens? If we leave that stuff open all day, we have bogged down our engine to a slow crawl. So we may be working frantically, but we're getting nowhere in a hurry. I think the bottom line, one of the main takeaways for today is that this practice is letting go of thinking, believing that we can control other people, how they behave, what they say, what they think of me, what they say about me. I think this practice is about letting go of controlling the outcome of any event. All we can do is pray and show up, right? Be present. Be present to what life brings. So it's fascinating, the energy shift, what happens when we release all of that futile energy of controlling and place our intention on allowing the power of being in balance to do the work. Feel that. Allowing the power of being in balance to do the work. So before we head into meditation this morning, let's practice one more balance exercise on our feet again, if you're willing. This is called the cross crawl. And again, feet are shoulder width apart, arms straight out from your shoulders. Is your pelvis tucked? Okay. Inhale, right hand up, left hand down. Exhale, right hand down, left hand up. Inhale, right hand up, left hand down. Exhale. Inhale. This is called the crawl, and it's actually a total mind, body, spirit balance. It balances our mind, our left and right brain, and it balances mind, body, spirit. So what if that cross crawl were one of our pause activities in the day? We can do it for a minute, we can do it for 3 minutes, whatever strikes us. So as we roll into meditation, I want to share on the sides of the text in this book, there are so many fabulous quotes. This one is by, I apologize in advance, Shunryo Suzuki Roshi. Do not try to stop your thinking. Let it stop by itself. If something comes into your mind, let it come in and let it go out. When you try to stop your thinking, it means you're bothered by it. Do not be bothered by anything. It appears that the something comes from outside your mind, but actually it is only the waves of your mind. And if you are not bothered by the waves, gradually they will become calmer. Many sensations come, many thoughts and images arise, but they are just waves from your own mind. If you leave your mind as it is, it will become calm. This is called big mind. Be still and know that I am. and so it is. Amen.